Hi, so today I want to talk about my favorite historical painter, Vincent van Gogh. And you can see here I have this book. It's not like a history book or anything, it is a book of his paintings. I don't know if it's meant to be all of them that are known, but it's a lot of them. They're very beautiful. I have been fascinated with his art for a long, long time, since I was a pretty small child already. Obviously, you hear about him much, um, but when I saw his paintings for the first time, it was like, for me, until then, I had also just only really seen very realistic, almost photorealistic art styles really praised, or entirely abstract things. So, like, either obviously hyperrealism or things like Picasso, like very abstracted. So, to have a direct representation of real scenes, but then with a style that interprets these things in a unique artistic way, was kind of new to me in that moment, especially as someone who was always an artist, has always been drawing since I was a small child. It kind of opened possibility for me. I think this was actually, what is it called again? Wheat Field with Cypresses was actually the first painting of his I saw, and at that time I didn't even know that it was his. But yeah, I think his style is very beautiful and moving, in such a way that it's actually been used in movement in multiple ways, in like moving formats. Like, I first saw this, specifically Wheat Field with Cypresses, in a kids show. It was called, I think, The Little Einsteins, which was like an educational kids show that my little nerd brain loved. Where I first saw it, but everything I saw or heard about him was so interesting to me always. And then obviously as I got older, I appreciated more and more the little things in his art and the unique beauty in it, as well as his life story and how he was. He's also a painting that meant a lot to me in how it invokes community almost. Not to sound like, I don't want to sound pretentious, but this is a video about an artist and his art, so yeah, I'm not gonna get super in detail about the more particular things here. Obviously, as I often say, none of my videos are researched or planned, so it's just what I'm thinking about. But his art has always been beautiful. With this book specifically, I also found some of his flower art, like out of flowers, and not just his famous sunflowers, but the roses that he painted. I don't know if I'll be able to find it immediately now, but I also love roses, and his paintings of them so evoke the things that I love about them and about life in general. Like, he manages to convey something that is rarely conveyed, in my opinion, of the beauty of life and being alive. Now, of course, I know that for a long time he was very depressed and had mental health issues, But some of his best work was in recovering from those somewhat oppositional to his image a lot of times. I think the times when he was in mental health treatment and at least somewhat recovering and starting to get a little better or have a little bit of an easier time with life is when he drew his most beautiful works. The big example for me being Starry Night, my absolute favorite painting ever of anyone, and it's not very well represented here, but I also have a huge print of it. It's literally like, maybe I'll show it in a sec, but I have a huge print of it because it's my favorite historical paint. It's my favorite painting ever in general, and I am hoping that sometime, at some point in my life, I will be able to see it in person, because it has really fascinated me and enraptured me for a long time. I remember one of the first times when I looked at a really high quality photo of it, I actually started crying. So I really do hope that I can see it in person, because that's a whole nother level. On that topic of seeing the paintings in person, my last birthday, at the beginning of this year, I was actually able to see one of his paintings in person. The one that I saw, I later learned, was his take on a painting that already existed, which is also interesting. I don't remember the name, but if I do while editing this, I will put the image here now. But yeah, I looked at it. I was really just standing in front of it for hours and hours. And I stayed there really standing there, and my legs are not that good, so that means a lot. Standing in front of this painting, which was not one of his more famous painting, neither was it one that I even knew much about beforehand. But I just stood there and I looked at every brush stroke, at every shadow, at every choice he made, and I was just enraptured. I would have stood there for many more hours if I hadn't been there with friends who wanted to move on. But yeah, Van Gogh and his art has always meant a lot to me, and has always spoken to me in a very personal way and in a very strong way in my heart, to say. So yeah, I also have this movie, Loving Vincent. I haven't watched it yet because I know it's gonna make me very emotional, and I need to be ready for that. But yeah, this is, if you don't know, this is a movie that is made from some of his paintings being animated further. And I've heard a lot of good things about it, especially from other people who love his art and his life. So I am very much looking forward to watching it when I'm ready. But yeah, that's it. I just wanted to kind of talk a little bit about my absolute favorite artist and my favorite art of all of history. And now I'm gonna quickly show you all my giant print. So it's here. I can't turn the camera all around while it's filming, so I'm just gonna show it like this. It's not obviously the best quality, you can see the white edges, but I'm still happy with it being just to have this beautiful image hugely in my room. It's very big. It's right above my bed too. Ignore how messy my bed is. But yeah, I'm very glad to have that, and Vincent van Gogh means a lot to me personally, so that's why I wanted to talk about him. Also, not related to this video, but just a general FYI, like the last video that I posted of my cats, I'm occasionally just gonna make little mini videos where I just show a little something or other, maybe about my life or current happenings or something like that. I already have some ideas of things that I also might make, and I'll make a separate playlist for those. But yeah, that is a bit of a different format and might happen now and then. Just in general, FYI.